All right, fellas, we're here. Third podcast. We got a guest here, Mr. Ben, rocking the peak bot gear. That's number one. We got an over under going, and that's going to be all right.
Welcome to
Miro up
Peakbot Live.
top, Ben down low. We got a couple of things we want to go over today, including Ben's team being our guest. We want to go over his team, go over some of the things that he's expected, things that he didn't expect, and then just references from the last 3 weeks. So why don't you guys do a little startup? Jay, hit us up with some thoughts, and then we'll
Yes,
we'll
sir.
let
Yes,
Ben take the
sir.
floor.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for listening today. All right, Ben, welcome. We have some questions for you just about the dynasty space and just like everything about your team. So we're honestly just gonna jump right into it.
And listen, if you
Um,
got any questions about the stock market or anything, I'm here.
no, we
Dude,
have we have questions about the stock of some players, which is a perfect segue into one of your players on your roster,
All right.
Jordan Love. How are
Yes.
we feeling about Jordan Love here? Obviously,
You
he
know,
had a great start, so I kind of wanted
your
what's your
yeah,
move with him?
your brother's been trying to get Jordan Love from me since I
Wow,
drafted him.
we love that.
Yeah. I wanted to see how this played out. The Packers have a history, obviously, with Favre and Rodgers of really investing in their quarterbacks and making them successful. So I, didn't want to give up Love too quick, and I'm glad that I didn't. Because I don't know, I forget what I was offered, but I don't know that the value that I was offered would equate to what Love has been producing so far. Um, I'm definitely looking forward to, like, when I know Christian Watson came back this week, but when he's fully healthy, and it looks like he's a big fan of throwing to Dobbs. So I think he's got some solid targets out in Green Bay, and then with the run game, I know Jones, he was injured, his hammy was injured, so they were really relying on Dylan this past week to establish that run game. But once that run game gets established and Love has a bunch of targets to hit, dude, I think he's gonna be good. So I think he's gonna have. I don't know what the Packers' schedule looks like. I didn't look through all these teams for the rest of the season. But
They
look, I
got
see
Vegas.
Giants. In,
They
I
got
see
Vegas
Giants in Week
bye week.
14, so I know they're going to score a lot of points there. Uh, and I think the second half of the season is going to go real well for them,
For
for
sure.
Love too.
I remember when me and Austin did episode 1, we were talking up Jordan Love. We were just like, I think we're on the hype, and the hype has honestly kind of come through. He obviously threw 3 touchdowns week 1 and week 2, which I really don't think is going to hold up. Obviously, regression's always going to come. You're never going to throw 3 touchdowns every single game,
Yeah,
but
but in terms
he,
of fantasy points, like Week 3, one passing touchdown, still
yeah,
brought in
still
25 points,
26
or 26
points.
points.
But he's because he had that rushing touchdown, which he had another rushing touchdown this
Yeah,
past
hey man,
Thursday.
quarterbacks
So
got legs these days.
what'd you say?
Said quarterbacks have legs these
I
days.
know. No, he's doing it, which is incredible. Austin, what's your opinion on Jordan Love here?
yeah, I think the it's just wild how the Green Bay Packers franchise has been able to do quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. I mean, obviously Love is brand new in terms of being a starter, and it's just wild to see. I mean, this is how in my opinion, how you're supposed to farm quarterbacks. There's too many people who just go in with the rookie, start them right off the bat. What you really need is an established quarterback, some sort of veteran to lead these rookies into better quarterback play. And I think that the 2 or 3 years, though, probably frustrating for Jordan Love and frustrating for Aaron Rodgers. I think it's really led him to walk in comfortably, not with stress, not with anxiety. And, these first couple weeks of scoring have shown it. I mean, he's obviously poised in the pocket. As we saw in week 3, he's comfortable running when he's got the open lane. So, I think, Ben, you took a swing in the later rounds, and it's one of those swings that in a
What
dynasty
draft
league
pick was
that's
this?
Yeah,
always
Tenth
keep that
in the
history.
10th round. The tenth
10th
round's
round. Yeah,
Good for
incredible.
me. Good for me.
Literally good
absolutely.
for you. But
Absolutely
Austin, you
good
did
for
bring
you.
up a great point about his like poise. Like Thursday, he was getting absolutely destroyed by the Lions defense, but he never gave up. In the second half, he was a new man. And like
Yeah,
that's
cool.
what you want
Cool
to
as a
see out of a
cucumber.
exactly. It's exactly what you want to see out of like a young
Well,
quarterback. This is
am
basically his
I
like, rookie year starting, you know what I mean? So it's good stuff. He
am
looks
I
good.
weird for thinking that he doesn't produce much emotion, like, on that side of the spectrum, but on the other side of the spectrum, he also doesn't produce as I don't see him, like, get super fired up either.
Yeah, you
He's
make a
just
really
like
great
a
point. Even like
chill
on
dude,
TV.
almost like
Yeah,
a robot.
he's just chill.
I feel like he got that from Aaron a little bit.
Yeah, potentially.
He went to the
Aaron
dark
tries to
side with
be
it.
he
So
tries to be like even keel with everything, no matter what. Maybe early in his career he had a little bit of fire, but he's just been so even keel. Jordan Love is a good. When you took the pick in the 10th round, it was an obvious value because we're in a super flex league. You need quarterback pointage. There's very few people, if any, are starting a non QB in that super flex position.
Yeah.
So taking a swing on a late round quarterback is always a good thing because if it turns out you look like a genius, and this is what happened here.
absolutely.
Well, on
Moving on.
one pick, there's other picks to talk about.
we are moving on here. One player that hasn't been great, but is it really his fault? Kyle Pitts. What is your feeling about Kyle Pitts this season, Ben?
So I've thought a lot about Kyle Pitts because you go online and you research like fantasy strategies and stuff like that. A lot of these resources all say a solid tight end helps you win leagues, right? Like if you've got a solid tight end, you'll win more often than not. Obviously, because that's a hard position to fill. And if you look at like Kelsey's obviously an anomaly here. If you look at like Mark Andrews as like number two, like he's far behind Kelsey, and then it drops off even further after that, like in terms of points per year. So, I was looking at Pitts and I was looking at, all right, maybe I can make somebody a trade. I forget who hasn't, but I was looking at Hawkinson. He's been doing well. But
Frankie.
then I remembered, like, this is my first year in Dynasty. So obviously, like, this is a new landscape for me to think about. But I was looking at Hawkinson. I think he's like 27 years old. How much beating can tight ends take throughout their career? Obviously, Kelsey's 33. But when doing that comparison, I was like, Pitts is still early on in his career. He's 22 years old. He's a large man. He's very athletic, very talented. Yeah. So Hawkinson's 4 years older. And I'm thinking to myself, there's not much competition in Atlanta for passes, for targets. Now they do have a run first offense, but I think that they could potentially work in more passes, more
Will they
targeting.
though? Will they put in more passes?
I think once Bijan finds a groove, not that he hasn't, but like once he gets into a groove, I think it'll be a run first offense as long as he's doing well, right? But I guess my point being is I went back and I looked at like Kelsey and Andrews and some other tight ends at what they were producing in the first couple of years of their career. And, Pitts didn't play a full year last year. But the year before, I think he had like 170 points. So I think he's trending in the right direction. I think that this year is going to tell a lot. I think I'll probably give him this year, probably next year as well to show me something. And then if I don't see anything by then canned. Sorry, man.
So I
Tough
I
industry.
also as a Kyle Pitts owner, I feel like I'm doing basically the same exact thing. But so say he doesn't pan out and he doesn't do anything, and you're gonna get rid of him. What are you gonna get rid of him for? Nothing? Or would you rather just
At
hold?
that point, who's going to want him, man?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I'll take a third round draft pick in 2027 at that point.
No, I definitely understand what you're saying about the whole, like, obviously when you're like looking at a fantasy, like Kyle Pitts is like the number two tight end that you want to have besides Kelsey. But if you're like rebuilding, you want Kyle Pitts. But I just like don't really see how this is going to improve. His first season was incredible, 1,000 yards for a rookie tight end. You just think he's going to surpass those 200 points, but things are not looking the best right now. 3 weeks
Yeah.
in, 18.6 points. That is not what we are looking for out here.
Yeah,
So
and I traded up for him too. I traded with Jack to get that draft pick because, and if it was me or if it was somebody else, somebody was going to draft Pitts in the fourth round.
you want him. He's an attractive name that you
Yeah.
need. Yeah, you drafted him in the fourth round.
So,
And I think some tight ends went before him as well. Like it was a big
oh yeah,
tight end.
the only reason I traded up to draft him was because after Pitts, that's where I saw the perceived fall off in tight ends. So I knew that I wanted to get somebody. I knew Pitts was a risk, but I knew I needed to get somebody fast.
Absolutely. Austin, Kyle Pitts. What are you feeling?
What I like is that you also have McBride and Turner and Likely, like the ultimate way to own Kyle Pitts is to deal with the lumps right now and have a guy who's going to score you 7 to 12 points. Now, you don't have that guy who's going to score you 7 to 12 points, but what you do have is good young names at tight end. And as other tight ends retire, um, and as other tight ends age and get old and get injured, you have a what I think is a wheelhouse of young, talented tight ends. Maybe not producing points now, but
Right.
as you say, 2026, 2027, you might have trade bait, like a bunch of it. And you might end up with someone like Isaiah Likely or McBride, Trey McBride, producing similar numbers, maybe slightly less, but similar numbers to a fully matured Kyle Pitts. And then instead of saying, all right, Kyle Pitts is the GOAT, I'm going to keep him, you trade him for 1, 2 first rounders. And then you keep McBride, who's ends up being a 12-point, 15-point
You want to
scorer.
give me 2 first rounders for Pitts? I'll do it right now.
I don't know if anyone's doing that. But you mentioned something like I like disagree with you. If you have Kyle Pitts, you want to be playing him right now. You don't want to be like, oh, let me wait for some people to retire and some other teams that played another tight end. Like Kyle Pitts is someone that you drafted high and you are expecting production.
Yeah, no, I'm going to
Do
play
not
him.
want this guy to sit
But
on your bench. That's
yeah,
Oh
but
yeah,
also,
well what I'm saying is like the ultimate position for Kyle Pitts would be someone who already had Hutchinson, who already had Fryermuth, who already had, you know what I mean? Like if you were a guy who you had a top pick last year, or you picked Kyle Pitts in the fourth round and you were lucky enough to get someone like Fryermuth in the seventh, eighth, or ninth. You get Pitts in the fourth, you get Fryermuth in the eighth or the ninth or the 10th. Then you're like, okay, I'm throwing Fryermuth in the tight end position. He's the one who's currently producing. He's the one who's currently getting 9, 10, 11, 9, 10, 11. And you're just waiting for that Kyle Pitts emergence. It hasn't happened yet. I mean,
yeah.
rookie year, 1,000 yards, 170 points. Yeah, he's in your starting spot. But since then, it's been injury and it's been lack of offensive production. So ultimately, he's a gem that you're storing. In your team right now, you have a bunch of storing stem like gems. Sorry, you got.
Well,
Like
that was the strategy behind the tight end, drafting the tight ends. Like who am I drafting? I'm drafting guys under Mark Andrews, Zach Ertz, Logan Thomas was an okay tight end for a while. So I got 3 guys under
he's
some
still low
pretty
key
decent
is.
tight ends.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
producing. All right, moving on
Yeah.
from Kyle Pitts. Will you ever break out? Who knows? Stay tuned. We'll see.
All right, time for a break with a word from our sponsor, PeakBot, home of automated trading. Are you new to the world of trading? Well, don't go at it alone. Join PeakBot. They will automate your stock and options trades.
I am mind blown.
That was honestly incredible.
I am mind blown.
I can't keep
He
this.
he's remembered and recited his own ad.
We love
No,
a
that was
business.
all on the fly.
That's
That
great.
was all on the fly.
That was
Wow.
so weird.
I feel like I've heard that somewhere. I
But
feel like I've heard that somewhere.
all right, moving on. So next thing we really want to talk about is the trade that you just made regarding Brian Robinson and James Conner. So you received Brian Robinson and a 2024 third, and you shipped away James Conner. Talk us through what that kind of, how did that happen? Did you look for this trade, or did Pat come
No,
to you for this trade?
it was presented to me, and you know what? After trying to negotiate with Austin on trades for weeks, Pat puts a decently acceptable trade in front of me. I took it. So thought process there was Connor is good. There's no doubt about that. But he's only played 75% of the season for the in 5 of his past 6 seasons or something like that. Pull up his history, Connor, just real quick. Then we could go back to Brian. So anyways, I was looking at that. Given his injury history, I just figured, man, if I like Brian Robinson is okay. He's good. He's young, right? So my whole idea is like I want to invest in younger talent that's been proven. This is Brian Robinson's second year. He did all right last year. I think, he's going to have a lot more room to run this year. So we'll see if this pans out. And then I've got a 3rd round pick next year, which is important. So I've got quite a bit of picks stored up for next year. So I didn't mind giving up Connor because, you can see like number of games played in the past. Yeah, since 2018. So 7 seasons.
Yeah, not pretty. 13,
Yeah.
10, 13, 15, which is
Right. So listen, like
13.
if my running back is going to be out for 25% of my season, like I'd rather somebody be in and get me those points and accumulate those points. And then on top of it all, I have Connor's handcuff. Not that he's much of a handcuff, but if Connor goes down, I think with what's it, Ingram.
Yep.
Um, so Keontae Ingram, I've got him. So if Connor goes down, which historically speaking, he will be down for 25% of the season. Ingram will get a chance to show what he's all about, and then I could decide what I want to do with Ingram at that point. So I felt like Brian Robinson was a good trade off. He's going to earn me, obviously at a hot start so far. I don't think that's going to keep up. I'm just looking for him to get me like 10, 12 points a week, and I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I will say I feel like this was a great trade on your end of things, to be honest. I feel like Brian Robinson and James Conner are basically the same exact player, but Brian Robinson's younger. And he probably will
Yeah.
have this backfield if he continues to do this production. Also, he's outscoring James Conner this season, technically, with the points per season so far. So I like the
And
trade.
that's
And you
that's
get a
just
third
with
round
two
pick.
touchdowns scored too. Like Brian
Yeah.
Robinson's only scored 2 touchdowns.
So I think this was a great trade. I think it's very like a parallel move with like running backs, but you obviously got younger and you got a pick. So I was
Yeah,
pretty
and
honestly
I
like
get where
shocked to
Pat's
see the
coming
trade.
I get where Pat's coming from too, right? Like he's got a win now strategy, so he wants to take Connor. So
Correct.
I think it worked out for both of us.
I
And
did.
that's
What
how
was
a trade
what
should
was
be,
the pick?
Austin.
It
What was
was
the
a
pick? A
24
third?
third, 24 third.
Yeah. Yeah, Pat had accumulated a decent amount of picks throughout the draft. So yeah, rest of season, if I had to pick between Robinson and Connor, I think I pick Connor just for each game's high upside
Yep.
production. But I'll tell you this, Brian Robinson has absolutely lucked out in the sense that Gibson cannot hold on to the football. And that was his issue last year. That was the issue the year before. And
Issue this year
the
too.
coaching staff literally said, if you can't hold the football, you will not run the football. And they warned him that last year. They basically took away his starting spot last year. This year they gave it back to him, and he lost it week 1 and week 2. So Brian Robinson, in my opinion, is the lead guy. He's not going to get all the touches. Gibson will still get his fair share, but
Yeah.
not as fair as it was. I think it was 60-40 or 55-45 before this. Now it's 60-40 or even 65-35 in the other direction, where Brian is going to be the one toting the rock more often.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the trade, you're winning the trade in terms of total value and total future value. I think in terms of current production, it's even. I think throughout the season we'll see that James Conner will score on a per game basis more than Brian Robinson. But to your point, he might not last the whole season. So
Yeah.
back and
My
Exactly.
man's
forth,
third
I see
my
both
man's
sides.
terrible right here. Brian Robinson gets shot, comes back in the same season.
It's honestly, I feel like I'm Brian Robinson's side, and Ben really brought up a great point. Like you have James Conner's handcuff, like that is excellent strategy. Like that is some A+ stuff right there. Good stuff. I appreciated that. All right, moving on to just the last part of your team. Um, the infamous Jonathan Taylor, obviously.
Ah,
So we have to talk about Jonathan Taylor here. It is week 4 now. He's supposed to be coming back. I'm not sure if you heard the reports and everything, but they are
yep.
not close to a deal, and he doesn't want to
Yep.
play for the Colts. So, what's your
Yep.
move here? What are you doing with Jonathan Taylor?
I'm holding. I've taken it this far. Um, at this point, I really hope it doesn't turn out into a Le'Veon Bell situation.
Ooh.
I don't think it will. I think the guy is too young and too talented for that to happen. Like, it's something's going to happen. So I'm just holding. My thought process is, hey man, if he could land on a team where he can get back to his old status, then I've got Justin Jefferson in my wide receiver 1, and I got Jonathan Taylor in my RB 1. That's a solid lineup. And then I've got, all the other positions will like fill in, but those will be like my cornerstones.
Absolutely. So you kind of you answered kind of my question I was gonna ask next. Is Jonathan Taylor gonna play for the Colts again?
I mean, all speculation. I would say no.
No. Okay.
If I don't honestly reading all the reports. I don't know what the Colts front office is thinking. Like, pretty much just keeping this guy hostage on a team. Like, that's not good for culture. That's not good for team morale. That's not good. That's not good, not just for Jonathan Taylor. It's not good for the entire team, right? Like that.
100%. So no,
It's
That
what
type of
happens when you deal with billionaires.
yeah,
well,
no,
that
Jim
type of
Irsay is
environment.
definitely putting his foot down about this whole entire thing. He just like doesn't really care, which is so weird. Like I don't really get what's
Yeah,
going on there.
He
Someone
doesn't
like
he doesn't want to be he doesn't want to be the owner that bends the knee to the running back revolt right now. That's what it is. There's been words said. Colts ownership does not enjoy the words said, and the running backs are trying to come together and figure out who's going to take the stand, like Le'Veon Bell did. And I don't think JT is trying to be the Le'Veon Bell, but I think JT is saying, I don't like what you said about me. You don't like what I said about you. Then trade me. Then get rid of me. Then let's be done with this.
I guess to the
I
Colts
think it's
defense
it's
though.
more of a personal thing. It's more of a
Yeah.
personal thing than a business thing.
But Zach Moss has also been producing well. So like I guess if their running back position was not like doing anything, there'd be more of issue
Leverage.
here. But
Mhm.
like there is no issue. Like Zach Moss is doing it, and they're just like, all right, we have JT. Someone give us some second round early draft pick, and he's off. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It'd
I
be
think
gonna be
I
interesting.
think Ben, yeah, Ben, you're in a great spot to hold. I mean, I don't want to admit it because I want JT, but you're in a great spot to hold. All right. You have David Montgomery, who you forgot to start.
I didn't
Um,
forget to start him. He was coming off a high ankle sprain, man.
I'm
Dang.
not, I
Look at
know.
that.
Miro's, got tight pants over there, pumped that he's on your bench. Uh,
That's gonna cost me the week right there. I'll tell you
It,
that.
it might cost you the week.
it could. It could. But
You're going
long story
against this
short, you
guy.
got you got David Montgomery, who's going to be a in and out unless he's injured week producer. It's just going to happen. You're going to get 10 points or more every single week. And then between your other two running backs at the moment, you'll be able to fill the running back position. You have enough depth in total to fill your flex positions. So you're fine. You're in a good position to hold. You're not desperate to think for the future. You could still play this season. You're 2-1. You might end up 2-2. You might end up 3-1. You're not out of, and nobody is. That's the truth. Is like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, everyone starts getting antsy and starts getting freaked out about their record. But really, until week 5 or week 6 is when you need to get freaked out. Like everyone is safe right now, whether you're 0-3 or 3-0. Everyone is safe, and everyone is in danger. Until week 6, you're not really going to know, where you need to go. Are you punting? Are you shooting for the future? Are you going to invest in now? I'm all about
Yeah.
trades early and trades fast, but and throughout the season, but everyone's got to, you know, take a breath because there's still at least 3 more weeks of solid competition before teams are going to really know if they're in or out.
Um, uh, Speaking on that, so Ben, playoffs. How are you feeling about that? Your team making it?
I'm there. Yeah, 100%.
I would agree. I would agree that
I feel
I
like
would
I'm like the
agree that you're
Steelers,
definitely going to be a top 6 team.
I feel like the Steelers right now, like always have a winning record, but never really do much after that.
That's how you feel in your career.
Yeah, let's
That's
just
how I
stay
feel
right
about
there.
no, that's how I feel about this year. That's how I feel about my team this year.
How's um how's Pacheco been doing? Not too bad.
He had
Yeah,
his
pretty good.
best week
Um
last week.
Chris Godwin is having a tough time with Baker. Baker and Evans are absolute boys. Christian
Yep.
Mhm.
Watson is going to be big for you. Him coming back is going to be really big for you.
Well, that's why I didn't play Montgomery. I put Watson back in. I mean, I don't like injuries on Thursday night games because you really have to kind of make decisions without having all the information you can get.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but I decided to play Watson over Montgomery because I really didn't think Montgomery was going to get a lot of touches. But look at that. Give him the ball right at the goal line 3 times.
3 times. But you also played him over Marvin Mims, which is interesting. Not that I love Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims is
Well,
my guy,
yeah.
but
Mims is coming off a hot week, and the Broncos are playing the Bears this week. So
so they should get
yeah,
absolutely smashed. But
yeah.
overall, seriously, I think this is a good looking lineup. Obviously, we didn't really touch on Justin Jefferson, but we don't need to touch on Justin Jefferson. He's amazing. Literally 100 yards every single game. Like
glad
ridiculous.
I went with him over Chase because it was between those two.
Yeah, no, you definitely got the better one. And I would have gone Chase over Justin Jefferson. So I would have ate that. So, but seriously, good.
Ben, Ben, just to talk about making the playoffs, you've got a contentious 4 weeks ahead of you. So you got Jason right now, which is going to be a tough game. You got Patrick next week, which is always going to be a tough game. You got your brother the week after, who's middling, kind of like you. And then you got Jose. Jose's always going to be a tough matchup. So after that, it's looking good. You're going Kyle, then Sean. Then you got me, Mike Miro, Mike Mastro, and Jack to finish the season. I don't disagree. I do think you're going to end up making the playoffs, but you've got this 4 week stretch up ahead. It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, but he's got the pieces to throw some. Obviously, there's going to be bye week stuff. You have players to like throw into your bench, your flex spots that you can like have some rotating basis here. Like you even mentioned before, that we didn't even touch on. Look at your draft picks already: 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, 3 thirds. That's you're building the team right, and I think you're looking good. I'm very happy with this team. I wish it was kind of my team. I don't really like my team, but your team's good. I think this
Mira's
is
giving me the
build.
good energy here.
Yeah, AKA Miro wants to trade with you for your draft picks.
No, I
Oh,
don't.
see,
I don't want
but,
to trade anything. I think your team is just you perfectly set yourself up. I mean, you wish Chris Godwin was gonna actually be a wide receiver too, but it's so early. Maybe he will. I think if Chris Godwin can push that next level for you, I think you're looking good. And hopefully, once again, Kyle Pitts. Hopefully, he could like do something.
It's in my opinion, it's JT. If JT plays football, you're in the playoffs, and it's not even a question. If JT doesn't play football, Montgomery just has to keep doing what he did last week. That's, in my opinion, that's the
That's what
way
I'm
you get
saying.
in.
Like he's got pieces to like be rotating around. I think you're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
All right. Speaking of you being good, though, is there any team that is a team to beat to you in your eyes, Ben? Like, if you had to
I
get like a top 3 teams in this league, who are you looking at here?
I think there's two juggernauts.
Jude
Uh,
Juggernauts. Let's hear it.
yeah, it's Pat and Jose. I
Pat and
mean, both
Yeah.
Jose. Yep,
both of them.
it's pretty spot on, honestly.
Yeah, both of them seem like they're going with a win now strategy. I mean, look at Pat's team. So I'm in another league. I also have Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams. I also have Keenan Allen. So like my wide
Jeez.
receiver, like I just went straight receivers. My receivers are stacked in that
Are you
league.
3-0? You have to be.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Um, so I mean, yeah, Pat's got all the pieces. Like he's got Eckler coming back too. Chubb,
And he lost
RIP.
Chubb. Like, whew.
Yeah. So I see what he's doing, trying to fill that running back position. Um, but yeah, so Pat's got a great team. Jose's got a bunch of great names here. And I like the Kamara pickup. Like I think that Kamara is going to be able to produce good amount of points this year. I know it was kind of iffy with Williams to start the year, but now that he's hurt, Kamara is going to come back. He's instantly going to be the RB1 in New Orleans, and not that he'll pick up right where he left off. You never know that, especially as he's getting older. But he's still going to produce points. So I think Jose's got a solid team here.
Cool.
Old, but solid.
I would agree with that as well. Now, those are definitely the top 2 teams in my eyes, and I think everyone's kind of just fighting for that third spot and figuring out where we're going to
Oh,
kind of
that's
keep
where I
there.
belong. I'm the
Yeah,
third best team.
I would
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with that for sure, honestly.
No
All
love for the current leader. No love
Well,
for the
listen,
current leader.
you said after it doesn't really matter until week 6. At week 6, we can like reevaluate and all that stuff.
right,
Yeah,
Ben,
you're right.
we're moving on from fantasy, just a little bit like football talk here. Can you give me your upset of the week in the NFL? What are you feeling here?
Yeah, Monday night, Giants against Seahawks. Let's go,
Oh
baby.
my God. All right, can you give me another upset of the week that is not the Giants?
No, he gave it to you, man. What are we talking
Is
about?
that serious? You
Yeah.
guys think the Giants are actually going to beat the Seahawks?
Why not?
Why
Yeah.
not?
So okay, realistically, other upset of the week, Patriots are taking down the Cowboys.
I don't
Yeah,
think
just
that's gonna
everything
happen.
focused on what the Giants need. I love it, baby. I love it.
Unfortunately, the Commanders are playing the Eagles, so we got to go Commanders in that type of situation. But yeah, man, that's what you're getting out of me.
All right, you heard it
Those are the
here
upside.
first. Giants beating the Seahawks and who is it? Who's playing the Cowboys?
Patriots,
Patriots. Yes. Oh
your
my God.
hometown team.
I actually have the Cowboys as my survivor team this week, so I can't. I don't need that to happen. So
Dude, that's you saw what happened last week.
exactly. So the perfect rebound spot for the Cowboys. They're not going down 2 weeks in a row. Impossible.
Unless
That's what the trends say. Hey, we'll see. All right.
Dolphins over the Bills, baby. That's happening.
What? Moving on
That's not an
to
upset.
It's a, they're underdogs right now. 3-point
the
Really?
underdogs.
Dolphins are the underdog, but I think
Really?
the Bills are going to take
Make
this.
that bet.
No, I'm not. I'm taking the opposite bet. All right, moving on from like a team. So, what is one player that you're looking to make a splash this week? Who do you have your eye on this week?
Make a splash.
Are we talking about the
for
league
me?
or his team?
Regardless, anyone. Who you looking for this week? Like a good
Well, one guy that I've been looking at because it affects my wide receiver is Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
Yeah. I mean, he's the QB1 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Old man Kirk is QB1.
Stud.
Can he keep that up? I'm also looking at Joe Burrow because he's just been pooping his pants. Yeah.
Open his pants.
I don't know. He got
Gotta
paid.
change that diaper.
He got paid. He bought a very expensive pair of pants, and then he just pooped in them. And that's all he's done. That's all he's done all season.
Joe Burrow QB 30. That's
Yeah.
literally disgusting.
Embarrassing. So yeah, no, in all seriousness, looking at Kirk Cousins, not that I'm gonna make a move on him or anything. And not that there's much that I can do, but I just want to keep my eye on him. And then Joe Burrow, my brother Noah, drafted Burrow over Josh Allen, I think.
He did.
Yeah, in the
Woof.
draft. So I'm thinking maybe if Burrow keeps up this downtrend, I'll be able to beat Noah up in real life and take Joe Burrow from him for cheap, because he's my little brother. So
Joe Burrow was a second overall pick in this draft. Kind of
Yeah.
wild. Like obviously you want Joe Burrow, and
yeah, no,
it's not
for
panning
sure.
out right now. But
Yeah,
it's
no, that's why I'm hoping the downtrend continues and I could just bully him into giving me Joe Burrow.
I have to make this comment as a bigger brother. Jason, you wouldn't know about this. All right. Physical pain is always leverage. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Just beat him up and then tell him that, 2 first rounds are enough for Burrow and go get
Yeah,
him.
you want to keep all 10 fingers?
Then you take these 2 picks and you give me Burrow.
all right, boys. Well, that is all we have for today. We got through everything. So thank you, Ben, for joining us today and talking some football. We always love to do that and trying to get a feel for how you feel about your players on your team. And we definitely wanted to see about that Jonathan Taylor situation, but he's not on the block, everybody. So
Not in the block. I'm
he
holding
is
We'll
him.
not
see.
leaving anytime
We'll
soon.
see. We'll see.
But
And
yeah, any final comments at all, boys?
just one last thanks to our sponsor, Peakbot.
We didn't get it.
Well, that was only 4.
It was 4. It was only
Peakbot
4.
is your home for automated trading. If you don't know what you're doing in the stock market or you're not invested, start now. Peakbot can help.
All right. Well,
All right.
enjoy the Sunday slate. Football's on right now, actually, 9:30
Yeah.
in London.
Just
So
started.
enjoy the games.
I got
Enjoy
Kyle
the-
Pitts playing right now.
Yeah, he probably, actually, so fun fact. So Kyle Pitts has only scored his only touchdown in London. Isn't that nuts? He's never scored
Loves
a
London.
touchdown in America.
Wow.
It's too bad Drake London didn't do that.
He
Could do
might.
it today.
Yeah, he has his last name.
Better.
So we'll
He
see.
better.
All right,
fellas.
all right, boys.
This
It's
was
been a
fun.
pleasure. See you later, gang.